Here at Ngozi Talk Shows, find your own voice, lead from within. I'm with Grant today. How are you, Grant?
I'm good, thanks, Nomsa. I'm good, thank you. I've been at a conference for a few days. Been doing that and speaking to the colleagues and friends afterwards, etc. So it's been a busy few days, and I'm now finished and back doing the regular stuff. So yeah, I'm good, thanks, Nomsa. And how about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Good, good. So our topic today is things that are holding you back from personal growth. There are various factors that can hold you back from your personal growth. So today we're going to share those um, things that are could be holding you back. Is somebody coming on? Oh, Shireen.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we're going to share those some of those things that is including fear. Fear can hold us back. Fear of failure. The fear of failure can prevent an individual from taking risk and trying new things, which are essential for personal growth. So, what do you think about the topic, Grant? Hey, Shireen.
Hi there, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Nice to see you, Shireen. Nice to see you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, very well, actually, thanks. So yeah, so Nomsa was asking, what do I think of today's subject? I think it's a great one because it's a pivotal one for everybody, and I can see the levels of which we delve into it. So the subject being things that are holding you back from personal growth. Yep, personal growth, because when it looks at all of our businesses, all of our careers, it really comes down to us personally. We've said many times before, you can teach strategy all day long. Unless you work on your personal growth first,
Hmm.
the rest of it has no foundation on which to base itself. So, in order to do that, it's really worth looking at what holds you back. Because if you can learn to understand what that is and find strategies to lift it, then your business, your career, other areas of your life will absolutely take off. So, I think it's a fantastic subject. That's what I'm thinking. What about you, Shane? What's your thoughts around this?
Uh, Hi. Yes, I think exactly what you're saying there, Grant. I think at the end of the day, it's are you able to overcome your fears? Really. So what's holding you back is always going to be something that's based in fear of some for some reason. So it could be either you're procrastinating. Well, there's always a fear that's sitting under procrastination. Anything that keeps us from moving forward, that we perceive to be dangerous for ourselves will automatically, I think, stop us from moving forward. So I agree 100% with that idea that we need to be doing some personal development. We need to look at us. We need to look at what we're fearing, what's going on for us, so that we can start to plan a route forward. As you said, strategy. No, strategy doesn't work. Strategy can't work until we're aligned with what that strategy is trying to do for us, right? Otherwise, you won't do the strategy.
Well said.
Or you might do it for a little bit and then you'll stop because all of you are not invested in it in some way. So I think, the idea that there's a part of us that wants to change, a part of us that wants to do things, but there's a big part that doesn't. And if we don't pay attention to the big part, which is where the self-development will focus on, what's that part that's getting in the way? And as we said, it is mainly to do with fear. And everything to do with fear, or the call to comfort, which is I want to stay the same here because if I do go into that, then there's something sitting within the fear. So we choose safety rather than choosing something else.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you.
Nomsa.
She's smiling. She's smiling away.
Yes, she's standing there. And probably agreeing exactly all the same too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree because, like I said before, fear is really, it stands in the way. And also, grant strategy, you're right. You cannot say, I'm going to create a strategy from the beginning. You got to make a decision first. And then once you make a decision, and find that person that can help you, is either a professional coach or somebody that you know that has done it, just to cheer you up, hold you accountable, accountability partner, just to help you, to say you can do this. Even if when you're scared, they'll be like, well, even if they're scared for you, they'll be like, you can do this. And I also agree with you, Shireen, comfort zone is not good. But that's where we like the familiar. We don't like the unfamiliar. For me, I had to break away for the things that I am familiar with, in order for me to actually do the things that can move my life forward. And also sometimes the people around us can hold us back, just by thinking that we are not good enough. Their voices, if their voices are not aligned with what we need to do in life or moving forward, they can hold us back. I look back myself, there are things that I've accomplished that people actually try to stop me doing them. But if I had listened, I would not have been able to do it. But then because I knew what I needed to do, so I had to do it. And in order for me to grow, in order for me to be where I need to be. And also, in order for us to achieve what we achieve, negative self-talk as well, it plays a big part of holding us back. So it's very, very important for us to actually to focus on, to actually evaluate what limit our limiting beliefs. And because our limiting beliefs can actually hinder us, and also the confidence as well. If we don't have confidence to do things, it can hinder us as well. So we need something to motivate us. But motivation on its own, it doesn't work. So I don't know if Grant, have you used motivation only to get to where, to actually get out of your comfort zone?
Yeah. Do I use it to get out of my comfort zone? Not, not motivation. No, more. If I use it to get out of my comfort zone, it's more just a genuine drive or desire to get the outcome. It's just it's more of a byproduct of it. Quite obviously, if I'm here and I need to get there, and it's something I haven't done before, I need to do something I haven't done before, and I make it a habit to get out of my comfort zone a little bit all the time. I would say every day. I used to do it every day. I don't now, but it's just a habit thing. So by doing that, I get comfortable with being uncomfortable. If that makes sense, I become familiar with being uncomfortable. It happens all the time. At the conference this weekend, I was watching my coach, and I wasn't watching him for performing when it goes well, because I know how to do that. You'll never know it exactly, but I know how to do it. I was rather looking at the small little mistakes, or just the inevitable little logistical things that come up that weren't planned, and just seeing the flow of how they deal with that. That's what I was actually looking at. Again, so when you're kind of thrown into a little bit of moment of discomfort, a little moment of out of your comfort zone, how to be in your comfort zone with it, how to just take it in your stride. It's not something I particularly struggle with, but I wanted to enhance it, and that's really what I was looking for. Anyone can, once you know what you're doing, anyone can handle success. It's about how you handle it when it goes a little bit wrong. Unfortunately, not very much went wrong, so I didn't get an awful lot of experience. It went extraordinarily well, but it is nice to see those little things and understand the nuance of how to deal with it, how light-hearted to take it, how respectful of it. Just find that balance. And by doing that, dipping your toe in the water of discomfort, I think is very useful. I'm not a great believer of someone just throwing yourself in head first at the deep end. I don't think that necessarily works. It freaks a lot of people out. But certainly go paddling. If the water's cold, just dip your toe in and then maybe, you know, the first part of your foot and up to your ankle, and just keep going until it becomes familiar. And if you take that approach, I think there's an awful lot you can achieve in life quite easily with that very simple analogy. And that's my way of doing it. That's my way of doing it. Good question. What about you, Shireen? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I think that those points are really valuable in the sense of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. I mean, I think that's a really important aspect of any kind of risk taking that we're going to take, right? The smaller the risk, or the one that's perceived less, is the one that will allow you to build those mental muscles that will give you the resilience, or to give you the capacity to be able to do something. I suppose where I'm going in the idea is more in the sense of the neurological aspect. And that is, you know, in the idea of motivation, the idea is that when we're motivated, we are looking in that space of wanting to move towards stuff, right? When we want to move towards stuff, which is what motivation, we either be motivated away because we're fearful of something, or we'll motivate towards. And we really want to have something that's going to pull us rather than something that's going to push us. Because pushing, we're kind of like a prisoner. It's like pushing a car uphill with the damn brake on. What you want is something that's literally going to pull you up. It's so much easier. So I think one of the things that for me is so important is what Nomsa said, was be in that environment where you've got people that can see your greatness, people that can see your potential. Because if people are telling you you have this potential and they can see it, what starts to happen is you start to feel more comfortable around that and start to get into the space of feeling and being in your greatness. And I think the moment you start getting comfortable with that, you start to become a little more motivated. So I think there's something about building the mental blocks or the mental capacity to be able to do that. And one of the ways to do that is obviously the self-development of doing some sort of meditation. So you were talking, Grant, which was about, I step in the water a little bit and then get to my ankles and I get to that. But you're building a window of tolerance to discomfort, aren't you?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, oh, well, I've done this. I feel the reward. Right. I feel quite good. I'll do this again. See, do I get the same reward? Okay. Let me do the next step. So we build courage as we do those little steps, which then gives us the hope. It then gives us it opens up that scope that allows us to go, wow, okay, this might be possible. And then you start having an internal kind of a driver that starts pulling you towards where you need to be. And that dream starts to become the reality of what you're choosing to create. So I think there's something really key in what you were saying there, a part of that discomfort of really learning how to take those small little steps to build those neurological pathways that will then give you enough energy to be able, neuroenergy really, to be able to then sustain those moments when things do go wrong, right? Where you can bounce back, you can be anti-fragile, so you can bounce back quickly from when things go wrong, or you have just the resilience to sustain it and be able to go, you know what, that's happened, but I can move forward from this. I can move in the next level and not go back and regress. So it's kind of like, you know, you always start when you learn, you go 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because that's all learning. Our brain is reevaluating, relearning. And the stepping back is actually, and then stepping forward is actually activates the brain in a much, much stronger pattern. So we should never look at something as a setback. We should see it as the idea that this is building me for the next resilience, right? It makes me stronger in a different way. So I think that, you know, when we think about the idea of motivation and personal growth, we're going to we should one of the big things is to really think about everything, one, as learning, but secondly, that any kind of setback is just the doorway to the next step. And I think that that's something when we're kind of caught up in our struggle, we forget that this is where we learn, this is where we grow, this is the bit that takes us forward. So for me, that's one of the key factors. And I love anything that's involved with telling us to do things gently. I mean, I wouldn't walk across. I mean, I know that Andy, what's his name? Anthony Robbins used to get people to do fire walking. But what was really interesting, it's not a one-off thing. It's not going to make you super confident for everything.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is because we have specific things that allow confidence to grow. So the ancient Egyptians used to have different tests for different levels of confidence. So just fire walking doesn't necessarily take away your social phobia. It may give you confidence to walk up a hill or give you confidence to go and bungee jump, but it may not give you the confidence to stand in front of a crowd. So there are different skills, different things, different tests that we can do to build resilience and to build confidence in a different way. So I think that we need to have the right test for the right thing. And then give ourselves a true evaluation.
You know what you've done now? You've given NOMSA ideas for team building days now. You just made us a whole you just given us a whole bunch of work there, actually. But actually, I didn't know that about the Egyptians. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Yeah, but different cognitive loads onto different areas of your life.
Yeah.
So really good idea. Yeah.
Have you done fire walk, Grant?
Oh, many times. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I've done fire walk, glass walk, broken arrows on my throat, bent bars on my throat, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Broken what now?
Yeah. Done all of that stuff.
Well, on your throat, can you say the part of your throat?
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't. It's a phenomenon. You don't. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds so fun.
Walking on fire is actually one of the things. Walking on glass, I'm for some reason I'm way more concerned about that. Way more concerned. Breaking arrows on my throat, could do it all day long. Punch through boards, bending bars, not a problem. Walking on fire is a bit of a hoot. Yeah, I get a bit more tense about walking on glass, and it doesn't bother some people. That one bothers me more than others, but I've certainly done it a few times.
But isn't that interesting? There are certain ones that, like you say, glass bothers me. So what is it about glass? Whereas opposed to what is it about fire, which is, so there, it's really interesting when you start to look at that and tease that out and find.
I like it. I like it. Tony Robbins, Shireen, what Tony Robbins does is what we do in Africa for fun, like when we were children. That's why sometimes you'll find like there are some African people that are so strong because we're not raised to be, we're raised to be soldiers. Yeah, but sometimes it's good, it's positive, sometimes it can have a negative impact because you're raised to not to let things hold you back. So me and my dad taught me both sides, where hold my back and then be vulnerable at the same time. But some, they teach you to be strong. Just when you start crying, like crying is for babies. African woman does not cry. You get on with it even when you're in pain. Wow. So when I was giving birth to my daughter, I kept thinking there's going to be more pain and there's going to be more pain. And then after I was like, is that it? Because in my head, I thought the pain and the way people were describing it was so painful, but I thought there's more coming. But then before you know it was finished.
So it worked. It worked.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah, I thought there's more coming. And I was sitting there, I'm in pain. I'm like, please, God, help me to pass through this. Whatever comes coming. And I was like, hey, okay. I was like, hey, okay. And I was like, no babies, no giving babies. And then after I had my second one, So yeah. So I like working. I like the part where Tony Robbins the whole it makes you walk in the fire. It's good for you. Strong. Makes you strong. Makes you fearless.
Well,
And I also like what you said, Grant. You said don't keep paddling and dip your toes first, step by step, whatever you do in life. I think when you want to get rid of these bad habits that are holding us back, the first thing you need to do, I see people they compare themselves with other people, and that can hold you back. Whatever you want to do in life, you have to look at the people that you admire as your role model. You cannot compare your life and say, wow, if this person they're doing this, so I'm just gonna even do it. What I've realized, like with my competitors, I don't see them as my competitors anymore because I used to say, wow, they are my competitors. I need to do this. I look at my brand and I look at the people that have been running the business for a very long time. And I speak to them. I say, what makes you do this? What makes you stand out like this? What makes you do this? And once I speak to them, and then and I keep them as friends as well. Because I need to hang out with the best, the people that think better than me. I cannot hang out with people that I like. Because that the reason why I hang out with you guys is because you guys, every time if there's something that holds me back, I ask. I'm actually the only one that asks questions. Have you guys noticed? You guys ask no questions because you're so perfect.
What do you think that is, Nobsa? See, there was a
I
question.
don't know. I don't know. You guys don't ask no questions. You're just these perfect coaches. So me, I just ask questions. Even with Shireen, I give her problems. I ask her questions. Girl, let's go on Zoom. We go on Zoom. She teach me something, and then she goes. So yeah, I ask questions, guy, and also it does help to ask questions as well because I used to think that I need to know everything, but I realize actually that holds me back. I don't need to know everything. I can just ask questions, and people will be willing to actually help me out. And that is really important. And also, lack of discipline can hold us back. Without a discipline and consistency, we can't move forward. And you guys have seen it with Ngozi talk shows. We've had coaches that come in because they're looking for different things. They come in and they go straight away. And then you have these people that are very, very patient. You guys, you are so patient, really so patient. And then we work on things that are holding us back, and we just keep going and keep implementing so that when you do that, you make progress and also towards your personal growth and also dealing with the limited beliefs in possibilities. Some people have fixed mindset. So in order for you to actually move forward with life, you have to willing to pursue opportunities and growth opportunities. Because if you are somebody who is like, wow, I don't need to do this, I don't need to do this. Me, I'm always learning, like I say to you guys, I'm always learning, I'm always doing something, and I'm always asking questions. I look at my life, I'll be like, this is holding me back. So how can I move forward? And then I'll evaluate everything. Or if I do something, I look at if I fail in something, I look at it as an opportunity to learn the skill as well. I don't, what I don't do is sit around and feel sorry for myself. I find a solution, I evaluate things and just look at things and I'll be like, what can I do to make things different? By the way, guys, the website is ready.
Wow. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, the new website. That was a few days ago. What was it? Last week? Yeah,
Okay.
that was last week, right? Yeah, that was last week when I put a message. Yeah, is ready. They are communicating to actually put it live. So I don't really look at the things that are holding me back. I look at things that are holding me back, and then I ask myself, I look at that website that is live, and I ask myself, I was like, this website is all written beautiful, but is it gonna make me money? And I just put up that prayer out there, and I said, God, I don't know how I can fix this. Because I really, I got tired as well to actually find the people that can actually give me my old website.
Mm.
Got tired and got fed up, and I was like, this is holding me back. I don't really need a professional website, but I need a simple professional website that will bring me money. That's all I need. Not a website that looks so professional, but that does not convert nothing. So I was like, God, can you? And then I went to Sai, and they was like, $20 a website. I got it for $20. I was like, are you being serious? And I was like, yeah. I was like, okay, I just go for it. And it was like, if you like it, you pay the rest. And I was like, okay, let's go for this. And I
Mm.
just took chances. But sometimes I've never always been like this. Sometimes when somebody proposes something, I'll be like, let me go because of fear. I'll be, let me think about it, and then I'll come back to you. But then that is not a mindset of a leader. So a leader has to make a decision straight away and then move on. What do you think, Grant?
I think that's brilliant. And when it comes to websites, of course, it depends what your desired outcome is.
Mm.
I totally agree. The prettiest websites are not necessarily a website that performs. Give me a performing website all day long. So well done. And yeah, mindset is everything. Fear holds us back, and ego is masked fear. The ego is masked fear. It's a form of fear. But I think when people talk about fear holding us back, and I was doing this yesterday on a session, is that peeling back the layers and going a little bit deeper. Fear of what? What are we actually afraid of? What is it? Yeah, out of our comfort zone, do what we don't do before. We live in comfort zones, and most of us are really conditioned, I think, back in the days when we were in the cavemen and cave women, we were conditioned to survive, yeah, not to thrive. We weren't conditioned for that, just to survive. You know, if we went out on a day, the man went out, and usually was the man, and speared the beast and dragged it back to the cave, and the woman prepared the beast, and then you lit a fire to keep wild animals away from the door. If you got through a day like that, that was a successful day. That was it. It didn't get more complicated. It was as tough as that, but got no more complicated than that. So we are conditioned to survive. This is why a lot of people end up JOB, just over broke. Doesn't matter how much you earn, you end up just over broke because we are conditioned to get by, to survive. So when we asked ourselves to poke our head out of that cave and do something more, it's scary. It's not usual. It's not what we'd be conditioned to do. And yeah, but when we ask ourselves, and people say, "Oh, I'm a bit afraid," and I get this all the time, obviously in coaching. "Oh, I want to do this and I want to do that." Great, do that then. And I say, "Yeah, but I don't know, I can do it." Why? Well, I don't know. I'm just a bit scared. Like, of what? You know, and then you start peeling back the layers, and this comes into advertising. You know, when you pay, oh, you know, people want this because of that, and I'm like, it's not deep enough. It's not serious enough. We talk about what keeps people awake at night. If you can talk to people's fears, how can I describe this? If a dentist doesn't have to try too hard to sell the services to someone with writhing toothache. Yeah, if they're waking up, oh, my toothache, or you wake up and water's pouring through the ceiling, you don't really go and do a survey of 20 plumbers before you get one, do you? Yeah, it's kind of like you're fairly motivated to say, just come now. Yeah. And you certainly don't ask them silly questions like, how long do I get for that? You just want the fix, and the quicker they can do it, the better. I've never heard anyone say, I've got a real lot of toothache. I want to get my value for money. Could you make it last like 2 hours? I said, well, I can make it last 2 hours, or I can fix it within 3 minutes. What do you prefer? 3 minutes, 3 minutes, just get it done, you know. So if you can get to people's fear or the thing that's keeping them awake at night, then people will be motivated to purchase your product or service. It's much quicker. So it comes into that. So if you look at what keeps you awake, it could be fear, it could be anxiety, blah, 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 blah. But fear of what? So when people say, oh, you know, they fear of not being understood. No, it's not. It goes deeper than that. That's a certain thing. Peel back that. So if it's so, you know, so what, as I call it, I play this exercise with, well, so what? You know, so what's bad about not being understood? Well, you know, people may not get what you mean. Okay, so what? What's bad about that? And keep peeling back the layers until you get sort of like, you know, I'll be excommunicated from bit, you know, and you really boil it down to the number one figure. That's it. Bang. That's the thing to communicate with, because then you're really speaking to that person's fear. Then it will land. Then it will communicate. Then you will be speaking their language. Then help to take them by the hand and take them where they are now to the next step. Not necessarily the end goal, but how do you get to A to Z? From A to B first. Just focus on B first. That's all we need to care about. Once you got to B and you got comfortable with B, let's just look how you get to C. And before too long, you're at D, H, F, M, so on and so forth, and then you've reached Z, or Z for those Americans who are listening. And that's how you do it, I think, step by step. After all, you don't just make a boiling hot bath of water and throw a baby in it, do you? You do the elbow test first. You just, a bit hot, needs a little bit more cold. Yeah, that's just about right. And then you don't just go throw the baby in, you just ease it in a little bit. So if you use that analogy with life and you measure it and reward yourself, celebrate your successes every day, you're building great mental muscles. You're giving yourself evidence that you can break through things, that you can do things. And that evidence gives you confidence, because like, well, I know I can do this. I was with a very competent lady the other night who'd had not a breakdown, but a very, very, very tough time. Very tough time, because confidence had been knocked mightily. And we spoke for a long time and gradually got around to some of the things she's done, people she knows, and I'm like, well, you can't be that bad if you're doing all that then, can you? And in the end, she was in fits of laughter, just laughing, like, what the hell am I talking about? Like, yeah, you're brilliant, you know. And it just turned it around, because you're giving yourself evidence. You're giving yourself evidence, and in the light of overwhelming evidence, you know, your defense about fear or not being good enough just falls into disrepair, because it's just nonsense. You realize you're talking nonsense for your benefit, and that you're way better than you really know. So you give yourself those bite-sized chunks. You're giving yourself that evidence that you can succeed. After all, you don't go to a gym and just say, oh, I've never been to a gym before, I'm going to bench press 300 pounds. You'll probably break your back. And that would not be great advancement, because you'll spend a long time in hospital. However, if you get the lightest little bar and you do 1,000 of them, are you really stretching yourself? Not really, are you? So the answer is probably somewhere in the middle. So you have to stretch a little bit, and you get that feeling of accomplishment. Wow, I did something today that I hadn't done before, or went a little bit further, but you haven't damaged yourself, so that it means you can go back tomorrow and do it all over again. That creates momentum. And that's the way I tend to approach it. So, a little bit out of your comfort zone, push yourself a little bit, all the time. Just the same way as you learn to swim. You just dive in the deep end, do you? Okay. That's what I think. Shireen, how have you done this in the past? How have you done that? So if you've actually looked at personal growth and you look at things that hold you back, and we've all got things that hold you
Mm.
back. How have you dealt with that when you take a long, hard look at them? And what have you done? Have you done that, or do you know somebody, or help someone to get through that? So
Yeah, I mean, I think what the things that I mean, most of the things that we're talking about very similar things that we do because they are fundamental to change. And I think what's really relevant, what you were saying there, which is so important, is being aware of that main fear, isn't it? Peel away. Because when people sort of say something like, oh, they may think less of me, we are conditioned to run away from things because that is part and parcel. And it did remind me of a story which I want to tell you about the prairie dogs. But one of the things that's really important is that until we get the feeling, till we can access the real depths of that feeling of how it would feel to be there, we're not connected to it.
mm,
So if we're not connected to the feeling, we're not going to do anything about it, right? So we've got to be connected enough to that feeling. So one of the things I get my clients to do is I would say, so a simple thing is I'm choosing to stay in this job, even though I'm choosing to stay in this job because it's comfortable, it's safe, it gives me this, it gives me this, it gives me this. I'm choosing to be there, even though my soul is dying, even though all of these things are happening, because we want to bring into conscious awareness what is really going on. I'm making a choice to stay in comfort because I'm not connected to the pain enough. We've got a high tolerance to pain, most of us. If we're still in the same place, we've got a very high tolerance to staying there, right? A high tolerance to the discomfort, even though we're feeling, oh God, I need to leave this job. Because the job is giving us benefits, we're not paying attention to the cost. We have to pay attention to the cost, and we have to ramp that up enough that we feel it. And that's the bit that you're talking about, Grant. You're talking about getting to that deep, deep belief or that deep, deep feeling that we then go, oh my God, I'll be annihilated. Oh my God. When we're there and we can then say, but is that really true? Then we can change something, because that's when we start to put that chink in that belief that's running there. So I'm glad you brought that up. But one of the things what was really interesting, and I'm going to bring this up on the idea of the prairie dogs. Prairie dogs, what they found out when they move prairie dogs are, what are they similar to in Europe? What are prairie dogs similar to? I suppose similar to, they're not squirrels, but they're bigger than squirrels and they sort of live out.
don't talk to me about squirrels.
Marmots, they almost like marmots in a way. Do you know? Yeah, squirrels. But when they wanted to take prairie dogs into a new area because they were either overpopulated or they were trying to bring them back into another, reinstate them, they chose the prairie dogs that were not risk-taking. They chose the prairie dogs that were more in the call to comfort to start off with. And the reason they did that was a little bit like putting the baby in the bathwater, right? It's about, you need to have a certain level of safety before you can take risks. So you need to be able to know what's the lay of the land a little bit. So you don't just go fools wildly and find the snakes, right? Or whatever's there. You've got to plan a little bit and see what's going on a little bit so that you can then take bigger risks, so that you can become more daring, that you can become and do those things. And that's what they found with the prairie dogs. So there's something really important about this idea of not jumping straight into the fat into the frying pan. It's really about being aware of how we learn. And I love that you said that intrinsic part of wanting to be safe before we can move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so developing that tolerance of discomfort is so, so very important. So I think that was something that really started to figure out in my mind for me, which I wanted to kind of bring back. But certainly for me, for clients, I want to bring them to that really strong place of noticing the cost and the benefit. And so once we really understand the cost, and the cost is almost like there's no other way forward but to move, then we are more likely, and we have to keep anchoring that state, come back to it. So when we don't do the exercise, or when we don't do something, we've got to keep remembering, I don't want to be here. Right? We have to keep that memory going so we can drive ourselves forward until we have enough reward, enough of the build-up confidence, or the build-up of recognizing, oh, I've done this, that then pulls us forward. There, depending on our personality type and depending on what goes on, some people are very good. We're born risk-taking. They are naturally born risk takers. And often when you look at those children or those people, they've had a really happy childhood. They normally have been encouraged to kind of to do things that basically their parents have, in general, it's not such a stressful place. And they're actually encouraged in a sense of teaching from an early age that they're capable. And so they don't fear risk so much. And I think that one of the real things that we can do for everyone is about how do we help people, and how do we help children, and how do we help adults see their potential in that, help them to see that they can take those risks in a different way.
I think that's a brilliant point you made there. It's about, again, constantly exposing people to manageable risk.
Manageable risk, yes.
Yes, yeah. And as we said, about fear and about stress, I mean, everything is stress to some extent, but there's good stress and bad stress. Just running for the bus is slightly stressful. Not going to do you any harm. Not going to do you harm. Sustained stress, and what is really stress is when you can't do something about it. Imagine being tied up with your hands and feet and blindfolded and thrown in water. Yeah, that'd be pretty stressful because you're out of control. You can't do something about it. If you can see the kettle's boiling and it's about to boil over, but you can just go over and switch it off, you might go, oh, but you switch it. It's not going to be long-term stress because you can find a way to fix the problem. When your hands are metaphorically tied and you can't fix the problem, that's when it becomes stressful. And that's it. But constant exposure to manageable risk, stuff that you can do. When you look at stock market trading, there's a risk. Of course there's risk. Risk. The better the potential reward normally means the greater the risk. If you look at a volatile product, it can go up exponentially. Also means it can go down exponentially. And of course, you can make money going down, you can make money going up, depends where you bet. But that's it. But a more stable, a much safer stock won't go up or down so much. The profit or loss will not be quite so much. Think of a car. A tame, safe little car to learn to drive on is good. A very high performance car, it's high performance. It could also kill you a lot quicker. There's a lot more risk but it's about gradually stepping up and managing that risk step by step. Or someone said the other day, you don't really learn to drive in a Ferrari, do you? Common sense. You build up gradually. You manage the risk slowly, and as you get more capable and as your brain can take on larger cognitive loads because you've done it before and before and before, you can take on more. You have more CPU space in that computer of yours. You can free up more space to deal with it. And that's the way we learn in life. Anyone plays an instrument, you don't start playing virtuoso stuff first of all. You do the basics and you just build. And I call it Lego, success by Lego. Building blocks, just gradually adding to it. It's very rewarding that way because you never get too far out of your comfort zone. And if it does feel a little bit naughty, you can always you can always just take one step back and feel comfortable. Just, you don't get too much out of your depth too quickly. I know a lot of people talk about taking massive action straight away. That's good because some people can do that.
Mm.
In my experience, most people can't. And if they get too far out of the comfort zone too quick, it can scare them and they can go into retreat. When they do that, they don't come out for a long time. And that, when you add it all up, I do not think creates momentum. You know, the tortoise and the hare syndrome, I think, you know, the tortoise tends to, if it's momentum and it's consistent, you tend to get there quicker. You haven't quite got to be a hare, you haven't got to quite be a tortoise, but kind of fast tortoise is good.
A tortoise on speed.
Tortoise on speed. There you go. What do you think, Nomsa? Tortoise on speed, is that the right place? What are you thinking?
Hi guys, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, type questions or get involved into the conversation. Don't just watch there, just be part of Ngozi talk shows. The things that are holding us back are those who are watching, guys, in order for you to break away from that. I like when you said sometimes we want to be safe and so we can move forward. There's no such thing. You just have to walk to the unknown in order to break away from the things that are holding you back. And Shirini, you said connected to the feelings and pay attention to the cost. It's very, very important when you are actually making a decision or you're like, I want to do this, but I don't want to do it, but I want to do it. And just look at the cost. What is it costing you for not actually going for it? And what is it costing you hanging out with people that are holding you back? What is it costing you for not doing the things that you're meant to be doing? Like YouTube has promoted Ngozi talk shows. Normally they look at the views. But what I decided to do a month ago, I was like, what are things that are holding me back? And are holding Ngozi talk shows back and the coaches at Ngozi talk shows and Hope Spring Eternal Introduction Agency. So I was like, okay, I do have authority in the physically, but I don't have authority in the realm of the spirit with God. So I was like, okay, God, they say God does the unthinkable. He will do this, he will do this. So I was like, let me just take myself every single day and just put myself as I was like, they wanted to sacrifice me for fame. So let me just sacrifice myself to God because God is sacrifice. When you sacrifice yourself, it's different. It's like, God, I'm just putting myself out there, my body as a sacrifice. Whatever Shireen does, please put it on me. So I was like, whatever these guys do that may attack them or anything is on me. I'm taking those responsibilities. I want to move forward. I want Ngozi talk show to move forward. And I began that journey. It's going for 1,000 days. I think I'm on the 60 something days of last week it was 50 something. I have to count it today. I have to take and see how many days I've gone. It's 2 years and 9 months, by the way, guys.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. So then I realized, and then I got that email from YouTube and I was like, this is so good. And I just looked at my channel. I was like, normally they do that when you have loads of views. But I was like, God is working, He's at work. So I was like, God, we need to keep moving. So I've learned another tactics yesterday. And this one is so working. I'm not sharing it yet. So yeah, so I'm learning every single day. And then when I was listening to this pastor, we were talking about it yesterday with Carol and how the abilities like genius. Apparently, this pastor was saying the people that we look at them and we say they're really, really genius, they use like 30% of their geniuses. The rest, they don't use it because they don't know that they have those abilities, more abilities. So it was like, we have more than 1,000 abilities. So I was like, what? So you mean I have 1,000 abilities? And it was like, some people, they're like, they'll get into speaking, they'll get into all these things. They'll be like, I'm so good at this. I'm going to focus on this because that's what I'm good at. You say Tony Robbins, how many companies does that man have? So he saw the secret. So I was like, yeah, so I was like, okay, I need to work on this secret. And in that journey, when you begin the journey of getting rid of things that are holding you back, you have to be prepared for rejection. People will reject you because they are not familiar with the person that you become. So don't let that hold you back. The things that we want to change in life, they could create things that can hold us back. So when you tell people this is what I'm doing, people will hold you back. They will say things like, because they're not familiar with that person that is actually driven. And they're used to this person that is more driven. My daughter was asking me the other day, she goes, Mommy, when did you become like this? And I was like, what do you mean, when did I become like this? And she's like, you love Jesus so much. I was like, well, the day I discovered that he can actually listen to me, he can love me unconditional, that's the day that when I decided to actually do this. So when Shireen says connected to the feeling, like what I do sometimes if I'm going through challenges, and if I see that this thing is holding me back, I disconnect myself to pain and I connect it to the positive feeling that I want to achieve. Even if there is fear in me, I connect it to that fear inside of me and I let that fear know that I hear you, fear, but there is a journey that I have to get to. And at this moment, I'm going to carry on and I'm going to keep going. And also, Shireen, you said, how do we help adults and children fulfill their potential? Fulfilling your potential, you have to go for the things that you want, and you have to stop worrying about people. Do you think Bill Gates, he became who he became because he was worried about who didn't like him, or he was worried about the person that would not stand by him? All those things, you need to stop worrying about people and just go for the things that you want to do, because life is a journey. It's a journey where it comes with joy. It's a journey where it comes with challenges. It's a journey where sometimes things might be presented to you that don't make sense. But you have to, instead of trying to make sense, just keep walking to the unknown. I just walk to the unknown when I'm making a decision. I walk to the unknown, and my family, they're like, Nomsa, you are not normal. And I'm like, have you just figured that out? I am not normal. I was never normal from the beginning. If you just figure that out, that means you are behind. Honestly, Grant, it's like when I told you guys about the boot camp. When I'm thinking about something, I don't ask questions. I sit down and I create. And I'm like, I don't know how these guys are gonna feel, but it's gonna go up anyway. But by the way, Sai is creating new module, by the way, proper ones. Is just researching for us. So he's just creating things for us. So just go for the things that you believe that can take your life to the next level. Learn the skills if you need to learn the skills. Me, I read books. If I need to read books, I go on YouTube. Who's that?
No, nothing. It's fine.
I go on YouTube. I learn. If I need to watch a video, I do that. But most of all, I have the Holy Spirit that guides me through. I've learned the secret how to just open the realms and speak if I want something, or if there's something that I'm struggling. It doesn't come easy. It's easy when I'm speaking, but it does not come easy. It comes with a determination, with a courage, not giving up. So sometimes I'll sit here in front of my computer and say, God, can't you just speak to me? Can you just help me with this? He just ignores me because he's standing. Sometimes I know the angel is there. He'll just ignore me. He wants to see how serious I am with this thing. And then a week later, nothing happens. 2 weeks later, and then 3 weeks later, you'd be like, okay, you're serious. Let's get on with it. And then I start getting rid of the things that are holding me back, or revelations, or whatever that might be, moving forward. So all those things, they play a part in our lives. Connect, like Shireen say, popularity, forget about being popular. Whatever you want to do. I'm not popular with my family, but they love me. But I'm not popular at the beginning. But now they watch me, they support me. But before, they'll be like, why do you have to broadcast on YouTube? Why do you have to be on social media? I just say you don't understand, but I wouldn't criticize them as well. So what you do is, when you have people that don't believe in you, you don't spend your time wasting time trying to convince, you move on. No attitude. Take some attitude out with grace. Just tell guys, I love you. Give them a hug if they need it, and just keep going. And those are the things you'll be able to deal with things that are holding you back. Do you have anything to say, Ed, Shireen, or Grant, before we go?
I'll just say very quickly is that, yeah, in things that hold you back is often the environment that we find ourselves in. And, you know, whatever that environment is, it can sometimes be those who are closest to you, actually, family and friends. You haven't got to throw them out. You haven't got to get rid of them. You could just have a different conversation with them. Have a different conversation. And that avoids conflict. That way, your mind is free to work on what you need to work on when you do. And it's a very easy way to do it, I find. Have we all made mistakes over the years? Well, I don't know, but I have. And I've learned the secret of it is to have the right conversations with the right people. And when you need to have those conversations about where you're going, make sure those conversations take place with those who truly support you in your quest. That's what I feel like saying. And that's what I'll do. And that's how I help all my clients with understanding this, getting to understand what's holding them back, to remove, or as I say, the art of extracting latent potential. That's what I do for people. I extract the latent potential, take away what's holding them back, and then they absolutely fly. That's who I am. That's what I do. That's why I'm here. How about you, Shireen?
Thank you. Great. Grant, it's just really lovely to hear. You know, I extract latent potential, and I get rid of the blocks, and I let them fly. And I think that's what great gift. Is there a better gift that we can give any other human being? I don't think so. I absolutely don't think so. But what I would love here is to really acknowledge you, Nomsa, because I think what's really important before we go is that you are modeling out exactly what we're teaching here, right? You are modeling it out, and you allowing one thing that's really important, which is you're showing the vulnerability but you're also showing the strength of choosing to follow what you believe in. You believe in God. You believe in allowing yourself to surrender or to sacrifice, whatever whatever it means for you. But you're following those truths, and you're allowing it to be direct. Yeah. So I really want to just sit in awe and in acknowledgement of that for you, because you have managed to get the YouTube moving, and that is such a great accomplishment. And I'm really pleased and glad to be here as part of Nkosi Talk Shows. I think and to move into that is just to really reiterate, we need people around us that are going to support us, that are going to see our greatness even when we can't. Because I think what Grant said, when we are unearthing our potential, you're extracting it. It's because we're extracting your greatness. We can see your greatness. We know you're great. Whatever that greatness is, we want to find it so that we can allow that to blossom and grow. And I think that is what you need to find, people around you doing it. And if they're not doing that, yeah, you need to have that different conversation. You need to kind of recognize that you are valuable enough, worthy enough to be able to do that, because your soul is calling you to do that. right? We're all here. We all have a purpose. And when we feel frustrated, stressed, worried, it's because we're not letting our soul talk. We're not allowing our soul to be what it needs to be, which is the bigness of who we are. So I think that's probably the biggest gift that you can think. If you feel comfortable, if you feel at ease, if you feel expanded, if you feel literally high because you believe about something so much, then that is your motivation forward. That is what you need to do more and more and more and more of. So whatever excites you, and that brings that real sense of expansion into your life. And it's not like I've got to go on the roller coaster reel, but it's like, wow, I did that. And you move forward. Wow, I did that. And allow yourself that honest acknowledgement of yourself moving forward. That's when you see you becoming the inner reflection of what's truly on the outside then after that. So yeah, enjoy the week and enjoy whatever time after now. But I thank you for listening, and also just to really say thank you, Grant, for also bringing so much stuff here, which I was sort of listening to. Haven't spoken to you for so long.
Oh, it's been a while, right? It's been a while.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you so much, Shireen and Grant. And there's gonna be more. We're still going. I still have loads today. I just want to be an example for people to say, listen, guys, when I began my journey, my life was there, and this is how I learned. Who knows? I might teach you guys, and it's a beautiful journey, and it's just just keep believing in yourself and believe, like what Shireen said, guys. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel, and if you're watching us on Facebook, yesterday, guys, you nearly crashed my group. So I appreciate you so much, those who joined Unique Billionaire Mindset group yesterday. I've never had, I kept pressing like I kept looking at the numbers. I was like, is this real? These people that have requested to join the group, and it was real. So I just want to say to those who joined the group yesterday, I appreciate you guys, and God bless you. And as we begin this journey, hopefully you're part of my umbrella. So when I begin in my journey, when I'm opening rooms, anyone that is on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, following me, you're part of it. So when you see yourself start thinking, well, I can do this big, and don't question it, just go and do it, because Nomsa is praying for you. Just go and do it. So you're part of my family, and I appreciate you guys. God bless. And I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.